The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University is a proud supporter of Indian Country Today. Students at Cronkite News and Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma cover Indigenous communities together. This important work is distributed by more than 100 news organizations. This collaboration provides a much-needed boost to coverage of Native American communities nationwide. Learn more at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This is Indian Country Today.
Amirawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. I'm Aaliyah Chavez. Patty Thalahongva is away. The U.S. Supreme Court has decided that Alaska Native corporations are eligible for the COVID-19 relief money meant to help Indian country. The question at hand was whether Alaska Native corporations, which are for-profit companies that provide benefits and social services to Alaska Natives, count as Indian tribes. The Supreme Court answered yes. Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote the case's opinion, saying the court affirms what the federal government has maintained for almost half a century. Following the High Court's ruling, the corporation will now receive more than $500 million. After the ruling Friday, leaders representing the Alaska Native corporations cheered, saying the money will help them recover from the pandemic. Other tribal leaders, including the Navajo Nation president who was involved in the litigation, says he was disappointed in the ruling. A Christopher Columbus statue in New Jersey is being replaced with one honoring Harriet Tubman instead. In the wake of George Floyd's death last year, communities continue to grapple with controversial figures as public monuments. Junius Williams, Newark City's historian, says Columbus was an enslaver and someone who projected racism into the North American experience. Artist Nina Cook John's design, called Shadow of a Face, will be installed at the park during the summer of 2022. A large profile of Tubman and text throughout the area will highlight dates in her life and names of safe houses in New Jersey. The park and nearby area will also be renamed Tubman Square to honor the abolitionist. The future is looking a little greener for a 1,000-year-old tree in Southeast Australia. The rediscovery of the ancient species is leading the call to help landowners protect other endangered plants and trees. There are only a few northern sandalwood trees left in Victoria. These elder trees are an important resource for Indigenous people.
Some of my people would have eaten from that tree.
Like many parts of the world, these forests were logged to the point of extinction, and now they are in desperate need of help.
What happened in the past has happened, but we can make a better Australia if we can educate the future generations.
Sandalwood trees have been considered very valuable globally because of their expensive wood and oil. People are celebrating in Rapid City, South Dakota, with the opening of a new center for Native American teens. The center is meant to be a safe place for children to stay off the street. According to KNBN, it's dedicated to Darren White Eagle, who made it his mission to bring back traditional songs and dances to families in Rapid City. Now his son, Chris White Eagle, is leading the center. Several groups, including Indian Collective, helped make this center possible. This youth center opens at a time when the community is grieving the suicides of 12 youth, all who died in the last year. They were all younger than 19 years old. Ty DeFoy, who is Ojibwe and Oneida, is a versatile artist who identifies as Two-Spirit. He's collaborated on Grammy Award-winning albums, and he's an actor, dancer, and a writer. Karina Dominguez talked with him about his projects, gender identity, and Pride Month.
Buju, Ty DeFoe, Indigenous Kazwa, Swaganin and Dunjaba, Magizan and Dodem.
Ty DeFoe operates at the intersection of various art forms to bring a much needed perspective as an Indigenous queer artist.
I feel like it's really important as a Native Indigenous person not to be labeled and put into a box, but that I can expand that box.
He's creating art that centers around his identity, social change, climate justice, restorative justice, and language revitalization. Recently, Defoe was commissioned to create a piece titled Strong Like Flower. He composed a song with flutes, drums, and electronica music.
To me, that video was a visual representation as sovereignty as it relates to queerness. So, in fact, I was queering space as an Indigenous person and showing up as my radical self.
Holding space for indigiqueer voices in the art world is his passion.
I would really appreciate and love if more folks begin to amplify stories and also invited and hosted Two-Spirit indigiqueer individuals to create, to make, to just be part of the conversation.
Currently, Defoe is planning something historic that's never been done before. The first Two-Spirit indigiqueer pop-up powwow, and it's scheduled to take place in Arkansas this September. In New York, Karina Dominguez, Indian Country Today.
And those are the headlines from Indian Country Today. I'm Aaliyah Chavez. When we come back, Mark Trahant is with the chairman of the Paskenta Band of Nomlaki Indians in California.
The Paskenta Band of Nomlaki Indians are headquartered in Northern California. The band just opened its new healthcare center called the Rolling Hills Clinic. Joining us today is Chairman Alejandre. Prior to being elected chairman in 2016, he served as its tribal secretary. Under his leadership, the tribe was able to renew its gaming compact last year, ensuring stability for the band for the next 25 years. Welcome, Chairman Alejandre.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We'd like to start with just kind of a general overview of how the band came through the pandemic and some of the challenges you faced.
Absolutely. Well, we're very fortunate, and like a lot of tribes, we went through this pandemic and really had to put our heads together and figure out next steps. But we obviously, you shared about our clinics. They're very successful in helping us bring COVID tests and vaccines. Also caring for not only the tribal members, but also the local community, as well as our other entities that the tribe owns.
I'm interested in this new clinic. Maybe tell us more about it.
Yeah, so we've actually been around for 10 years now. We had our 10-year anniversary. And one location is here in Corning, and our other location is just 15 minutes north of Corning in Red Bluff, where we service tribal members, other natives, and the local community as well.
How does the tribe, so it works as like a private clinic for non-tribal members with Medicaid funding and insurance and other provisions?
Absolutely, yeah. And we have a wide variety of services that we provide. Everything from your standard practices to specialties. And we're going to continue to grow. The goal is to continue to grow and be able to offer more services to the community and the Native community.
Does that create job opportunities for particularly for tribal members?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's been a big thing for us, as we are one of the economic drivers in the North State here in Tehama County. We always have that ability to bring in new employment, and absolutely through the clinic, that is an opportunity to serve and bring more opportunity for not only the tribal members, but other natives and the local community.
Boy, you look across the country and in particularly rural communities, but in a lot of large cities, healthcare is often the largest employer. So it's really interesting to see a tribe move into that as an economic enterprise. I want to ask you about something else. The tribe is involved with a workshop on historic preservation tax credits. Maybe tell us about that.
Yes, so we are currently building out a community center and admin center across from our reservation. The first of its kind. It's a new home for the tribe. it's something we've never had before. So we're very proud to be able to bring this to the tribe. It's a special thing for our members to be able to have a place to conduct business and bring more events and activities. But yeah, we're definitely proud of that accomplishment.
And you're building houses as part of this?
No, we actually have no reservation housing, but we have a very successful program that we built out where, because our tribe is really spread out across the country, and only about 60% of the tribal members live in Tehama County. But so one of the goals was to make sure that we're creating a program that services all our tribal members across the country in the most fair way. So when we built out this program, we thought, why not have our tribal members invest in themselves? Let's help them with the down payment on a home wherever they want to be, not just here in Tehama County. And that's really been successful and worked out really well for us.
Has that changed post-pandemic? And we hear a lot about the increased pressure on housing. Has that made it more of a demanding program for your tribal citizens?
It has. And, it's not just down payment, but home repair, as well as paying down on their loans. And we're always revising it and taking a look at it every year to make sure that we're keeping up with the standards of the housing and living cost.
The entertainment industry probably got hit harder than really any industry in this country during the pandemic. How has it meant for your community and for the enterprises that you have?
Well, it's actually been really successful for us as far as gaming goes. We've been hitting our numbers and beyond. So we're very grateful and proud of the hard work that our enterprises continue to do. In 2019, we recently opened up a amphitheater, and second year in, we had no shows, but we're looking forward to bringing back concerts this summer, and we have a great lineup. So it's a really exciting time for us in that area, and our casino is expanding. We're bringing new, different enterprises to the property, different food outlets. So it's been great. Even through this pandemic, we've been continuing to move forward.
What do you attribute that to?
It's really the team. We have a great team, great staff. Everyone, is really about the vision of the tribe. So they see that and they feel that, and they want to help make our enterprises as successful as possible.
How has the pandemic changed the way people in your community both interact and work? And I know society is going through all kinds of changes. How has that impacted your home?
Well, the tribe was currently building out these models to do online communication. So while that was being built out, it really just sped the process up for us. And we've been doing online communication with our membership since the pandemic. And we're now back in person. But since, like I said before, we're really spread out as a community, we've been able to continue to utilize these platforms. And they've been really successful in communicating and getting the information to our membership.
In a lot of cases when as tribes become more and more successful, citizens who are spread out across the country rethink and decide to move home. Have you seen that as well?
As the tribe grows and, we're building more infrastructure, yes, absolutely. It's great to see. It's great to see our young people go out and get educated and come back and serve the tribe and help in a big way.
What do you see as your role in Northern California in terms of the story and things going on in the broader community?
Like I mentioned before, we're really an economic driver. We've brought a lot of jobs to this region. We're a leader in the community. We have a great foundation, our Paskenta Nomlaki Foundation, that is a big supporter of this community through, education, nonprofits, supporting other tribes. Some of the key highlights are our partnership with Make-A-Wish Foundation. We've been doing for the past 3 years now, where we grant 6 wishes to 6 kids in the area. We put on this golf tournament, and it's a real joy to see the smiles on those kids' faces, as well as their families. And that's one example. Another is, this past year we did a food giveaway to the community, 200 boxes, all valued at $100. During the holiday season. The holiday season can be a stressful time, as is, and with the pandemic, that just creates more tension. So we're very happy to be a big supporter of this community and a leader as well. Just helping in every way that we can. We understand how fortunate we are as a tribe and all the things that we've been able to accomplish. And we want the same success for our community and the surrounding communities.
What makes you most optimistic? We only have about a minute left, but this is a great story, and I'm curious what makes you most optimistic.
My team, my council members, they're just amazing people, and they really care about this tribe, and they care about the community and the success that it has. So we're very fortunate to have the people that we have on our team across all our entities.
Thank you again, Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
I was Chairman Alejandre, and we'll be right back.
That was ICT editor Mark Trahan and Chairman Andrew Alejandre. When we come back, Jourdan Bennett-Begaye pulls back the curtain on what happens behind the scenes in the ICT newsroom. Jourdan Bennett-Begaye is Indian Country Today's managing editor. She is Diné and reports from Washington, D.C. Welcome, Jourdan, and thanks for being here today.
Hi, Leah. Thanks for having me.
Let's start off. ICT has a lot going on behind the scenes in the newsroom. Our reporters work from various places around the country. Can you pull back the curtain and sort of explain to the viewers, how does the newsroom work in this virtual way?
Sure. I mean, you're definitely right. There's a lot going on when it comes to breaking news. And I think the number one thing for us is communication and communication, within our communication platforms, phone calls, text messages, Zooms. And much of it actually has stemmed from lessons in the past year, or actually maybe last 3 years, and just seeing how our communities react and just seeing what is best for them so the news gets to them the quickest. We have different processes depending on the news and how much we already know. If it's something unexpected, if it's news we already have background on, or news that we anticipated and have a report pre-written already. And what we know will determine how we reach our readers in the best way. And we can reach them on our digital platform, in the form of a story, an email blast, and on social media. And of course, in all this chaos, we have to keep in the back of our mind that we need to communicate that breaking news to our broadcast arm so they can carry out that plan on their side.
Breaking news is always such a whirlwind in newsrooms, and especially at Indian Country Today, I think it's always a all hands on deck situation, exactly as you explained. It's one of my favorite parts about reporting for ICT. ICT has several very important partnerships. Can you tell us about those and sort of what the goals are with those?
Yeah, sure. So for all these partnerships, our goal is to, build comprehensive coverage of Indigenous communities, right? And, with the small team of reporters that we have, we can't do it all. So we try to form these partnerships in order to cover as much of Indian country as we can, and, and globally, the whole Indigenous world. One partnership, of course, we have is with the Associated Press. We are an AP member, and so this allows us to share their content, but also indigenize it, as I like to call it. And they have a sharing platform that's called AP Story Share with other news organizations. So this allows us to grab their content and to share it as well. Another one that our senior editor, Diana Hunt, got us in was with Covering Climate Now, and that's a global media consortium of more than 450 media partners. And we've been able to share a couple stories from Marinette Pember and Richard Walker with them. And so those stories are shared globally. And another partnership I'm really excited for is with Underscore. So this is a very new partnership, and that I like to see in the sense of it's a temporary bureau in the Pacific Northwest. So we're going to share a reporter who's going to cover that region, Washington, Oregon, parts of Idaho, and the lower, southern half of British Columbia. And I'm really excited for this because this might be a new model that we're going to use for other partnerships. And the last one is we are also partnering with other J schools or journalism schools, such as the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University, and the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Oklahoma.
And I think something really important that our readers and our viewers should know is that these partnerships not only allow us to use the stories from these collaborations like the Associated Press or from journalism students, but in return, Indian Country Today's reporting also shows up on their publications. Is that right?
Yes, they do. Our policy is, our content is free to use, and, they can share our stories. And we do often see it pop up like in the Navajo Times and the Gallup Independent on Navajo. I'm only saying Navajo because that's my community. But and there's also, a lot of non-Indigenous news outlets, as well as the Associated Press. We're able to feed our copy to them if they're interested. And then we've been able to share more than a dozen stories since we've been an AP member with them. And, this just contributes to us and our goal of changing the narrative of Indigenous people, which is really exciting.
Definitely. Jourdan, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about your work. You serve on the board of directors for the Native American Journalists Association. Tell us about that. What is your role like, and what are you all working on there?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a new board member. It's definitely a great experience. Of course, NAJA's goal continues to be, serving and empowering Native journalists through various programs, and to also promote diversity in newsrooms, especially in mainstream media, and defend any challenges to free press, free speech, or freedom of expression. But I guess one update from NAJA, a couple updates from NAJA, is the release of the Indigenous Media Guide for reporting on First Nations and Métis communities. The Canadian Commission for UNESCO and APTN News partnered with NAJA to create these guides, and they are published in English, Spanish, and French. And this is really important because NAJA recognizes that Indigenous people are very distinct. No two tribal nations are the same, and these guides will help journalists in reporting on them accurately.
And these guides really help journalists, especially in those breaking news situations that you're talking about, when you're not quite sure, how do I cite a tribal nation? Who do I call? How do I accurately and respectfully portray the communities that I'm reporting on? Those guides are so important for that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because, a lot of tribal governments are formed differently, right? They citizens, report to tribal council. Some have like a traditional form of government. So it really makes journalists ask those questions when they're doing these stories. And last year, the NAJA did release a tribal nations media guide for the US. So that's also available on our website. And I think the big, another priority for the organization is the consideration of a name change. So NAJA was created back, in the 80s by a handful of reporters, and now our membership has grown to 700. So now NAJA is considering a name change of the organization to the Indigenous Journalists Association and international expansion. And we did put out a survey earlier this year with members, and we found that a lot of them do support this decision. So now we have a membership working group who is looking at the language and our governance and our bylaws.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about that, Jourdan. Very briefly, tell us, what stories can we expect to see on Indiancountrytoday.com? What's coming up?
Yeah, sure. We're going to be keeping an eye on the SCOTUS decision, or the Supreme Court decision with the Alaska Native corporations, Enbridge, and more residential and boarding school stories.
Thanks so much, Jourdan.
Thanks, Aaliyah.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. I'm Aaliyah Chavez.
Sometimes you got to take a stand just because you know you can. Oh, you got to run, you got to run. Standing
This is Indian Country Today.